Hey, what's up guys? Sir Emanon here, and we are back after quite a bit of a break here to record the Reddit Championship Series Top 16 match. And here I am with my very awesome co-host MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I gotta tell you, this top 16 is fantastic. There are such a diverse array of decks represented, due in part to the fact that this is one format prior, that's Secret Slayer's meta, and these builds were made on day one. So a lot of the Adamancipator and Eldritch decks are not as up to par as the ones that you've seen topping recently, and as a result, a lot of cool stuff like Unchained and Zodiac snuck into the mix. Just wish we could have lived there forever.
Yeah, we're now in a world where Adamancipator is creating boards that don't even lose to Dark Ruler and Lightning Storm, and
I love Yu-Gi-Oh, dude. I love Yu-Gi-Oh.
honestly, this might be the single most or least interactive format. At least if we're talking about post Eternity Code, which I have not been keeping up with due to like school and stuff. But from what I've heard from everyone who I've been talking to, basically unequivocally, this has been a very volatile format, to put it modestly.
Um, you have missed a lot. Eternity Code completely upended the meta. Adamancipator is now unplayable. The best deck is Generator. It's yeah, I mean, the boards that these decks are capable of are just out of this world. So this top 16 is not only a glimpse into what could have been if people hadn't streamlined Adamancipator combos and Eldritch ratios, but also a bit of a nostalgic look back on a format that had a little more interaction than the one in which we currently reside.
Indeed. So let us enjoy some of this gameplay as we are featuring two Scrap Orcust deck lists, one of which has a bit of a heavier flavor of World Legacy cards. So one list piloted by, I believe it is the player in red, yes, Fragile. He's on a heavy World Legacy package with World Armor and the World Legacy Survivor. So that's like the mill 5 spell. Whereas the other deck list is on a much more streamlined Scrap Orcust, like a very standard list with a bit of a tuning package. And you guys have probably seen this rise in popularity a lot more lately, just given how needle fiber can facilitate very unfair combos nowadays.
Yeah, tuning right now is used to turn Jet Synchron into Crystron Halqifibrax, get an O-Lion from deck, and then proceed into Link Cross and partial metal marcher combos, which is a sentence I never thought I was going to have to say. At this point in time, tuning's used to facilitate some sweet setups as well. I feel very badly about the World Legacy Orcust variant, though. I think for a brief moment in time, I felt as if this was going to be the direction in which Orcust just generally pivoted. By playing more World Legacy cards, you're able to play cards like World Legacy Survivors, the crawler support, as well as set up boards that go through Lib, the
The
World Blade Caster.
Yeah, I was really actually I
Semantic
agree with
card.
that actually. I thought for sure that this was going to be the way in which, Orcust would naturally evolve, but as we see with Eternity Code, things have drastically changed. So you won't see any link cross shenanigans in this particular replay. But we were raving about interaction earlier. However, both decks are featuring to some capacity the Union Carrier combo with the Buster Locks. So that has become ever more prevalent with the enabling of just any remaining pieces of your board just going into Union Carrier and locking your opponent out of the game. Very fun.
Yeah, really cool. Um, Yeah, I don't know. You on one hand, I do like the idea that these kind of lower tier decks, things like Orcust, things like uh, I'm trying to think of a second example, but let's just talk about Orcust from now. I expect because it's a mirror. Have I win buttons against better decks? It helps equalize the field. But on the other hand, I can't help but feel bad that there's something as uninteractive as a domain lock available to any deck that can barf out a dark attribute monster.
Yeah, just the accessibility of it is kind of absurd at this point. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into the gameplay. All right, looks like they're just waiting for the judge. All right, so Fragile is going to win the rock, paper, scissors, and I imagine he's going to go first.
Right. So the one thing Orcust is kind of lacking pre-Eternity Code is a really competent normal summon. I mean, you see in this hand, for example, you're looking pretty specifically for a, Scrap Recycler or an Armageddon Knight or something. It gets it in Eternity Code as far as Gearsu, but that screws up the World Legacy half of the deck. I think likely we're going to see a lot of cycling here. I do like the card destruction also.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. And another thing to note is I believe the Machina structure deck was also not legal for the initial deck list submission, so you won't see any like
It is correct,
redeployment
yeah.
combos. Because I know that that card can like very roundabout search Scrap Recycler while getting you a lot of advantage on the way. So yeah, none of
It's an
that's gonna be
adorable
happening.
combo, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. It's gonna start off with a orchestrated return, sending the symbol.
There it is. Drew into it.
Yeah, we were gonna be drawing in the neighborhood of 6 cards with this card destruction, so or 5, I suppose. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and normal summon this recycler and send the World Wand, which actually gets its effect here. The other effect that people might not be
Uh,
familiar with.
you don't know, when World One is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a World Legacy monster from your hand, and the hand counts. World Legacy World Armor, which on summon searches a World Legacy card. I mean, this is a really powerful resource loop that I'm happy that some deck is finally taking advantage of.
Yeah, just being able to search such a wide pool of cards, such as the World Legacy cards, like there's a lot of unique applications. They have a counter trap that's like kind of an omni negate if you have co-linked monsters. They have sort of an IP Masquerade and a trap card. They have Succession, obviously. So just a nice amount of cards that you can really search off of just incorporating this small little engine that's pretty native to the deck. All right, so we're gonna go for the scrap combo now, which you guys have all seen this.
We're going to set a card here, and that's going to be the better send, of course.
All right, so
Get rid of
recycler.
that Recycler,
Yep.
and pop with Wyvern, and get a Golem.
All right, and he's opting to pop the card destruction, so he can probably turn the scrap wyvern, I would assume, into an Appaloosa later on.
For what it's worth, this would be a really sweet hand of card destruction. His opponent's got like Armageddon Knight Pankratops.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And he's holding the Phantasme too, which is pretty interesting. So he's trying to get a lot of value here.
I almost don't like doing it. You know, there's a point in the combo where you're locked into dark, and if they go into that very early, then you are rewarded for holding the Phantasme. But if they go into an Appaloosa, like you said, you know, whoops.
Yeah. So this recycler send is gonna go ahead and bin an Orcust Nightmare. Nothing too crazy at this point. But he is going to go into the Lib line because he does have a couple of World Legacy cards, which will get him yet another search for a World Legacy spell or trap.
So Lib the World Keyblade Master is one of those cards that enables a ton of really interesting combo lines. Effectively, she searches a World Legacy card, but I believe in order to activate the good parts of her effect, you have to have a World Legacy in graveyard, right?
Yes, you have to have a World Legacy monster in your graveyard in order to activate the spell or trap that you set directly that turn. And in order to summon her to begin with, you have to have any World Legacy card. So ideally, you would have a monster so you can take advantage of setting something like a Succession if you don't already have it, and you can just keep extending. Or if you do have it from something like a copy of the World Armor, then you can go for like one of the traps that I mentioned before. So Phantasme will be coming down here, which is, he got rewarded there for getting or waiting to extract the most amount of value.
And for that, they're going to draw a ton of cards.
Oh, one of which was Nibiru.
So Orcus doesn't really natively have a good answer to Nibiru. And it's pretty powerful against the strategy. Pretty sweet main deck inclusion in a format that later would start shedding Nibirus as Adamancipator became able to play around it, and Eldritch didn't care.
I think he accidentally only drew 2 cards. Yeah, he only drew Nibiru and the Scrap Golem, and he put 2 back. Because he should still
Oh,
have 5
well.
cards in his hand. Okay, no, the
Oh
catch
yeah,
is
they're,
now.
they're
Okay.
resolving it right now.
All right, good, good. Because I think he shuffled his deck already, so that definitely kind of messes things up here. But They do have a judge in here, so they should be able to resolve things, no problem.
One of the benefits of playing on Dueling Book is, unlike in paper, Dueling Book logs literally everything that happened. If you're a judge, you can say with absolute certainty what the draw would have been, even.
Yeah, that's
So we're gonna
true.
put those two back.
All right. So it looks
Add that to
like,
hand.
all right, he will be keeping the quick draw synchron, because I believe the cards that he drew a scrap golem, and then off the fix there he drew a babble. So both cards you definitely don't want to have in your opener.
Phantasme is almost exclusively good in Orcust because Golem has a hidden passive where it's always in your opener.
Yep. All right. Oh, and the other cool
Right,
thing.
so
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just going to talk through the exciting line that is Lib's effect. You go ahead.
Oh no, I was actually gonna bring that up too, which is that Lib's gonna go ahead and fire off. But the other cool thing with her is that she interacts really well with IP Masquerader, of course, because her other effect is that if she is Link summoned and sent to the grave as Link material, you can non-target shuffle any card into the deck. So it very, very neatly tucks away the Phantasme without having to deal with it.
I really like that someone looked at Masquerena and thought, you know what, this card needs to be more powerful. We're seeing a set of World Legacy Awakens. Wow. This is like the build your own Masquerena that featured in some previous rounds. As soon as you activate this card, you get to link summon a monster using monsters you control. Akin to Masquerena will still trigger the Lib effect, but you don't need to, for example, dump material into a card that doesn't really do anything on an empty board state.
Yeah, so this provides a lot of flexibility into his board now, because he can do stuff like maybe succession back the golem, golem bring back the recycler, send another card, and then go for his full Orcust combo after going into like an Appaloosa. So he has a lot of plays, and he has Foolish as well to back it all up. So
I like about this version of Orcust in particular is they get somewhere between like 1 and 5 scrap recycler activations just with all the reborning they do. If there's ever an argument for like limiting the cards that send machines to the graveyard, it's this deck.
yeah, and we see here the sending of Jet Synchron, and as we mentioned earlier, the rising popularity of the tuning package with the Jet Synchron and all the needle fiber plays. This makes Scrap Recycler an even more valuable asset to just keep looping over and over again. So very, very strong play here. But we do see the Nibiru coming down that was picked up off the Phantasme.
This is rough. I mean, you kind of have to Nibiru here because Appaloosa is still available. I believe we haven't used any effects that lock us into dark yet. But you don't want your opponent to go to the graveyard, use the effect of this Jet Synchron, go into a Hauka Fibrax, and continue combo plays. It looks like they're going to activate the Orcust Nightmare here, and the token is a material, so provided they have the appropriate extra deck, they'll still be able to make the full combo.
All right, so Nightmare going to go ahead and send the Gizmic because we pretty much already have everything else here. Right, Wand, bring back the Nightmare.
Do we have a Link Spider? Nah, we're just going to go ahead and fire off the Foolish Burial in order to get the Orcust Nightmare into the graveyard. I believe so we can use the effect of, yes, Symbol Skeleton to bring it out.
Correct. And it looks like from here we're just going to go into probably the most basic Orcust combo. I would assume that there is no Link Spider, as you mentioned, because that would definitely help, with cleaning up the board a little bit as far as making your Orcust combo a little bit more streamlined, but this should get the job done fairly well.
This is a little weird. You obviously want to go for Babel here, but question is if you want to continue with any powerful machine lines that include discarding the Phantasme. And activating the Orcust Nightmare early shows to me that they value the Phantasme in hand over potentially like a more explosive Needle Fiber combo.
Yeah, I wonder exactly how far or to what extent the needle fiber combo is going to. Oh, actually, I'm looking at the deck list now, and Fragile is not even playing needle fiber, so there you go.
Problem solved.
All right. So Jingirsu coming down. I wonder if he is going to go for IP when he has the Awakens already set, and it looks like he's going to.
That seems okay. I mean, you can still make a format. And one thing that we've seen the Orcust deck specifically doing is to hedge against the really good decks that came out of Secret Slayers and Attorney Code, the Adamancipators, the Eldritches as they approach their final form. They have to be playing huge Haymakers and Equalizers against those strategies. So an end board of IP Masquerena that threatens a zero Boros with a Gizmek and Graveyard is one way to access that.
Yeah, and with all of that said, there's also like a second IP here if he needs to like access multiple toolboxing options. So like he can go for something like a Zero Boros, and then later on could also go for maybe like a Nightmare Unicorn if he has enough material provided. And there is a Nightmare to dump the symbol to bring back something. There's also Gizmek, and there's also Phantasme. So there's a lot of like hidden potential to amass a bigger board here. All right, so we're going to pick up a symbol skeleton on the blue side.
This is a weird hand. I mean, obviously Armageddon Knight's insane. The Pankratops is going to get a lot done as well, but the hand is very monster intensive. And if you summon too much and then walk into something like a Zero Boros while your opponent has a stocked graveyard and you don't, that's an easy way to lose the game.
Yeah, so it has to be pretty careful on how we navigate this board here. Because what we do know is a symbol revive and IP plus the awakens, but we also don't know about the Phantasme, which could potentially draw into more hand traps if there are any present.
Hmm.
Right, so summoning Pankratops, not surprising there. And it looks like we're going to try and go into battle phase to force some sort of response.
I like this a lot. It's a little toothless with World Legacy Awakens. Like you walk over the Masquerena and they say, okay, I actually have Masquerena set as well. It looks like we're going for Galatea.
Interesting.
Letting it resolve, I think I would have considered popping the Masquerena here. They're going to target the Nightmare in order to set a copy of Orcust Crescendo. We could... I don't know.
So we're going to Awakens here in the battle phase, which it
Well, I
could.
like this a lot.
So
If you
this
pop
could
in
prompt.
response,
Yeah, the
if you pop in
Pankratops.
response, they go to a Gizmek in Graveyard and they can make a 3-mat.
Right. So it would kind of. So I kind of want to see how this is going to play out here. So there is no response.
Ooh, I
And
don't like this at all.
ooh, interesting.
There's the Zero Boros. It's got a ton of attack. I think 34 right now, but it's only going to get bigger as that Gizmek fires. And it's immune to destruction by card effects because I believe it was made with a Masquerena, though not necessarily through her effect.
Correct. So Masquerade would still use material, so it still is immune to this Pankratops. And he is going to try and pop it with the Pankratops, but unfortunately, not keeping in mind the protection. All right, so
Masquerena, a heck of a card.
now we're in main phase 2, and we're kind of staring down pretty much the same situation where we have to deal with the Zeraboros.
And I mean, this is one way in which these decks that are adept at grinding out each other over the course of several turns can just end the game almost immediately.
Right. So here is, I think, a way to force the Zeraboros is to Foolish for the Gizmek, and then to just manually proc it by yourself so you can go for your Armageddon Knight combo unhindered. So pretty good way to just bypass that.
That's not super ideal, of course. You don't want to be giving your opponent free access to their Gizmek while yours is in the banished zone, but you do what you got to do to get your combo off to the race.
Yeah, he's kind of prioritizing just being able to play the game. And this quick draw can also dump this symbol to the grave as well. So there's definitely a combo here to be had. Okay, so there is a needle fiber on for this combo.
All right, interested to see where this is going.
Summoning out Brass.
Brass Bombard. Wow, that's a heck of a target.
All right, so we're gonna go into Galatea straight away without even committing the Orcust Nightmare, which is pretty cool. All right, so Gala's going to recycle the Gizmek, and then set return. So he's looking to really just draw and turbo as many cards.
Right. Kind of trying to have the exact same turn that their individual did.
Right, so we got Tuning and Ash. And also, interestingly enough, Fragile also didn't opt to use a Phantasme on the summon of either the Needle Fiber or the Galatea.
That is interesting. I wonder what they're saving it for. It's potentially rough to do it before they go into a Dingirsu. You're just giving them free license to eat your monster. But I think you prioritize the Phantasme as a draw like engine and less of a threat.
Alright, so Dingirsu will come down now to reattach the symbol. So there might not be a chance to use Phantasme later this turn, depending on how this combo line ends up going. So Nightmare will resend the Gizmek. So both players having access to it again, but Fragile not having used his yet. And opting not to, interesting. Alright. So we have Phantasme and Symbol, and we have a somewhat loaded graveyard with the Orcust Nightmare, and we have Gizmic as well, and Jet Synchron that we didn't use from last turn.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect there to be a way too lethal with this graveyard setup. It sucks that you've lost access to the Babel, but I don't know how much that matters.
Alright, so Zerboros comes back, and it is pretty beefy at this point. 13 times 2 is 26, so it's 56. So it could provide a lot of damage. Alright, so Jet will get rid of the symbol to bring itself back.
Great way to get Symbol into the graveyard. Here comes the Gizmek, and we have our sights set on that defense position, Dingirsu.
Oh, and there is 2 copies of Lib here because of the heavier World Legacy package, so there's another copy of Succession on the way.
That's upsetting. It's also going to tuck back this copy of Dingirsu in a way that doesn't allow it to proc its protection.
Yeah, and none of that could have been ashed, so that definitely is pretty unfortunate.
Love that these cards just set cards from deck.
Right, so
Do you have another easy material link for?
I believe okay, the only ones are Boros Sword and the Zero Boros. There is actually no Appaloosa in this list.
Interesting.
But also we could just make, I don't know, like a long Yursu or something, and that could be good enough.
I mean, the Zero Boros is just putting in a ton of. I'm just gonna make ding here, ding for ding. Or not even send attach.
Alright, Nightmare will likely get ashed here, yep.
Alright, we have finally fiended that card out of the hand, so it's time to fire off the Orchestrated Return, draw a couple of cards, see if we can't get that Lib off the field, and get in for lethal.
Did we use Gizmek this turn? Or was that last turn? Oh, we used it this turn.
I believe we used it this turn.
Yeah, it was this turn, okay.
Oh, wow. And passing it back. Ooh, I don't know about that one. Feels like not going for the Orchestrated Return and going for something like a Long Yursu would have just won the game, right?
I definitely feel so. And you could also Succession back the World Armor to get the World Armor effect too.
If there's still targets.
Yeah, provided there is still targets, that is also true. But I feel like there is definitely a way to threaten lethal here, even through the Gizmek. I feel.
I guess the Gizmek does complicate things. Is Zero Boros monsters this points to, or monsters period?
To zone. Oh, to zone a Link monster points to. So yeah, that definitely.
Well, that explains it.
Succession.
If you go into a Long Yursu, shuffle the monster back, they can still summon a Gizmek to the zone and fog you, banishing your board in the process.
Yeah, and it also messes up the succession too, because then your own succession would proc your Zeroboros. So that's something also to keep in mind there. So yeah, a lot of
I would have thought this
things.
card was a liability.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so we got a bit of a grind situation going on now, and Gizmek will be used in end phase here.
That's an easy way to out the remaining monsters on field. Zeroboros doesn't remember that it was summoned by Masquerena, does it?
I don't believe so. I'm not 100% sure, so if anybody is 100% sure, then definitely make sure to let us know. But as far as I'm aware, I don't believe it remembers that it was summoned with Masquerena. Alright, so we have two tunings in hand here, which is not the greatest.
Fantastic rip.
Yeah, I believe that there are only two targets, which is a quick draw and a jet. Um, and it is very possible that one of the jets got banished off the Gizmek activations.
This is the portion of the Orcust mirror that kind of hurts to play around. You usually end up with like 8 cards remaining in deck. Going for the Gizmek here, going to proc it manually, says, I don't want Gizmek to figure in the remainder of this game. Let's just go ahead and banish them all.
All right, so this is getting pretty scary here because we got a lot of attack on this Zeroboros that's gonna be coming back next turn. So
It's basically a 1-turn clock to win the game, and you have to do it through Phantasme with double tuning.
right, the good news is that there is still a symbol engraved, so that can bring back something like a Galatea. And again, opting not to use Phantasme here. So we're going to see a second copy of Return being set off of the Galatea, and then Dingirsu attaching symbol. So just trying to keep that loop going, of course.
It's just kind of cute how they're prioritizing Galatea shuffling back the Gizmek after banishing it off of Zeroboros. I hope it works out, because it's kind of choice.
All right,
Ooh,
so
nice rip.
yeah, Nibiru could definitely stop one of the bigger pushes, but a big
You need a way to get rid of the Zeroboros.
yeah, could just end the game on the spot. And with no Gizmek available, this definitely could be bad because there's not really a efficient way to actually block any of the damage.
Set the symbol skeleton.
Yeah, it says symbol.
This is actually what's happening.
It says symbol double tuning and pass.
This thing is well over lethal.
Yeah, this
I actually
thing
think
is...
setting the symbol might do it if they don't attack into it with the Gizmek, right?
Yeah, so it'll just depend on the order of operations here. Alright, Wand brings back Nightmare, normal summon symbol, make probably Galatea, I would assume.
Oh no, and that's 1500 defense. That will do it.
Yeah, and to be really safe, you could just Dingirsu it away.
I think that's what they're doing, in fact.
Yep, and that was a chonker of a Zeroboros, so that will clean up game 1 here.
Oh, that was a long game 1. This deck is so grindy. I really am missing this style of archetype that unfortunately just been completely pushed out of the metagame by the super recursive control deck that is Eldritch and the unbelievable balls to the wall combo deck of Adamancipator.
Yeah, who would have thought people would want Orcust back in the metagame?
If you told me in 2019 I want Orcust back, I would have really pitied whatever must have happened in the future.
And pity we shall. So here we are with, I believe... Yeah,
it's not a good Into the Void.
This is a hand. Alright, so I believe Fragile was forced to go first after winning game 1.
It has a handful of stuff that they want to use second. Double Mystic Mine, Jet Synchron, Scrap Recycler, and the Orchestrated Return.
At the very least, this is a combo. It's definitely not ideal, but it is something. And we do see Phantasma coming down.
That's all right. I actually do kind of like WoW and a Nibiru drawn off the top. Fantastic. I actually do kind of like the idea of forcing your opponent to go first if you're in an Orcust mirror, right? But the things that equalize the board state are these huge haymakers like Nibiru, like Mystic Mine, like Mind Control, and just having access to those and your opponent having to end on the normal Orcust board of like Ingirsu or Masquerena pass is kind of choice.
Yeah, especially when your opponent is also anticipating the same thing, right? Because now
And
Fragile's
then
hand
with a hand like this,
is very, very oversaturated with cards that do effectively nothing going first.
we are still under Into the Void. Let's not forget here. These cards are going to have to go to the graveyard.
Indeed. So, yeah, rip double Mystic Mine. So it looks like we're gonna go ahead and return drawing more cards under Into the Void. That is
Stop drawing cards.
that is pretty risky. If you draw more cards that don't get any value, you could definitely be in trouble. Especially if you draw like a Nibiru.
Yeah, it might be like one with nothing, where like you're trying to bin your hand at the end of the turn. I guess we probably do fire this Blur of Darkness, right?
Yeah, like you got nothing to lose at this point. You're losing your hand anyway, so might as well. And yet another card that is gonna get lost to the grave without having any impact. So
Oh, can't summon any of these. Oh my god. Oh no!
I guess this is my destiny. Well,
Oh wow.
I don't think I've ever
wow.
quite seen a first turn Orcust board end on a Babel with 0 cards in hand, but I guess this is the world we're living in.
This is like the last time something like this happened with any sort of frequency, it's when week one Trickstar players would forget that Droll is reciprocal and loop both players instead of just their opponent.
Oh, yeah.
This is terrible.
Alright, so this evenly looking not great here, but I mean, you can't really
This
complain too
hand
much.
just generally looks pretty bad against the board of nothing in hand, 18 cards in graveyard, with the exception of the Scrap Recycler, which is going to do a lot of work, of course.
Indeed, and getting this wand to grave too also opens up some combo lines with being able to like send stuff more flexibly with the recycler. But picking up 2 more normal summons is definitely not ideal.
I honestly are okay. Like, is there a chance you lose from this position? I don't want to say anything, but like if you scrap recycler for say a Jet Synchron, and then your opponent has the ability to ding at any given time because they have a Nightmare in graveyard, like I know it's pretty low. But you lose.
Yeah, like funnily enough, like ding sending recycler kind of it almost wins the game. There is a mind control to be able to like go into needle fiber afterward though, so
Right.
there is a bit of a contingency. All right, so Jet pitch evenly. All right, and we're going to Wyvern, and I imagine this will prompt some sort of response here. All right, and as predicted, easily the Symbol Skeleton will go ahead and send the Scrap Wyvern out of here. And now is the point where the mind control doesn't really actually do a whole lot because we already expended the Jet Synchron to get to that play. So
We don't have any other way to get a monster onto the field.
I think now we're just relying on this Nibiru stopping the game-winning push.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. After discarding 5 cards, are they gonna win?
It's looking like it's a distinct possibility, just depending on how hard we're gonna overcommit into Nibiru. But this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then the Fat Reborn top deck bringing back Recycler.
Pretty good. Must be nice.
All right, now we're gonna go ahead and go into the Wyvern combo. All right. Oh, and Wyvern targeted the Golem there because the Golem was drawn off of the either the Allure or the Return last turn. So.
Oh man, all part of the plan. Discarding my hand to put the Golem in the graveyard was just part of a Scrap Wyvern 2-turn extension.
Easy. All right. I believe
Never
this
any doubt in my
Recycler is summon number 4. All right. So we shall see what happens. All right, Lib is gonna come down now because we just binned the World Wand. So we can go ahead and grab
Expecting
a.
your opponent get like a succession probably means you do Nibiru at earliest possible opportunity.
Yes, but unfortunately, there is still the entire Orcust line available, so not really any consolation there, unfortunately.
Ow. Okay, so trying a nightmare real quick, just a reminder that
Yeah, you can indeed target any monster with Nightmare. Alright, so
we're
sending the
going to
Gizmek,
bring.
and then one bring back the symbol, and then going to IP, interesting.
Oh my gosh, have we used symbol here? We have. Oh
Oh, we
no.
haven't. Oh
Oh
no.
no, this is going to be Zeroboros. It's not game winning yet. It's close. Have we Gizmek'd this turn?
We have not. No, we just sent that off of the World Wand.
So with that knowledge, probably we're just making a normal setup board instead of trying to push for lethal.
Indeed. And we have a lot of setup here. So we have Babel IP plus Crescendo. So
Right.
that's
It's kind
quite a
of weird that
lot.
we don't have a link monster on our side of the field, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Allowing the go to main one means the mind control might actually resolve.
All right. Oh, but he's going to instead lead with the Scrap Recycler.
Yeah, this is kind of a crusty board. You want to threaten battle phase and walk over the Masquerena, but Girsu on board really complicates that because you can just protect it some number of times.
Right. So he's going to have to commit to some capacity and have to play into some of these interruptions here for sure. Oh, looks like he says misclick, sending a Nightmare instead.
Brass Bombard necessary for your important needle fiber setups.
Indeed. All right, so now mind control comes down. This will for sure prompt the Masquerena, which will go into long
Sending the
gears.
Orcust. Girsu is pretty nuts here. It's pointing to absolutely everything important.
Yeah, and not only does this put an Orcust Link monster on the field for Crescendo, but it also puts the Dingirsu back in grave. So we're looking at 3 interruptions here still. All right, so I believe the only play left is Nightmare at this point. At least if
Yeah, I
looking at the
mean,
grave.
it's a good start, but oh man, Longirsu just does a fantastic job of providing a type of interruption that the deck is wholly unequipped to deal with. It looks like they're firing it now and going to send the Nibiru to the graveyard. Says you're going to have to do something pretty powerful if you want to threaten my monsters, and I have the ability to send yours to the graveyard at any given opportunity.
Yeah, I got a send and a negation, and with another normal summon left in hand and a card that isn't really going to help the case here. It's looking pretty good even after an Into the Void discarding 5 cards turn 1.
Cannot believe player who involuntarily won with nothing to themselves is going to win this game.
Alright, so Nightmare is going to get negated by the Crescendo, and we're going to see World Wand bring back the Nightmare here. At this point,
Resolution, I think we're likely to see Dingirsu prevent the summon of a Link monster.
yep, and with
Wow,
just no defense, it looks like that's it. So
that's unbelievable. I never would have expected that series of events would have netted a win for that player. Oh, this is Yu-Gi-Oh, folks.
man, drawing 2 Mystic Mind going first, discarding your whole hand with Into the Void, ending with 1 card on hand and on field, doesn't matter because Orcust is too good.
Never want to hear anyone complain about drawing Golem ever again. You're just not playing correctly. You need to be sending it to the graveyard with your Into the Void. That's how you optimally play this card.
Yeah, clearly this is the best card in the entire deck, right here.
All right, well, congratulations to Fragile, who will be moving on to a top 8 spot. That means we're going to see something that is an Adamancipator in Eldritch in top cut. To see the results of the other matches this round, as well as what we will be featuring in our next match. Please let us know in the comments what you would like to see from the graphic earlier.
So stay tuned for more future matches. You'll see more of them on either my own or MBT's channel. Be sure to subscribe to his if you haven't already. And that'll do it from us. Any final words?
Orcust OP. Please do not buy Dingirsu. Just play this version. It's so much more fun. It's so much more cool. You get to play a bunch of World Legacy cards that see zero play at any other time. The hands in this deck. Come on, don't play Ding.
Alrighty. Take care, everybody.